Today's lesson is about plugins. Today we're going to learn how to install plugins, which are basic features that add to the front or back end of your website. According to Wordpress.org, they say plugins extend or add to the functionality that already exists in WordPress. For me, this is a really tough definition to absorb if you aren't of the tech world. I really prefer to use examples of the types of functionality that can be added. So basically what you can do is you can add events calendars, you can add e-commerce stores, share and follow buttons, enabling download features. The options are endless. But for today, we're going to explore something really basic, which will allow you to add and edit your posts and pages in a much more expansive way. Let's first take a look at posts and add a new post to see what the editing features are available for you. So if you notice here, you have some very core features in your post editing. And I might add that the same features are available in page editing. So you always have the ability to add media, which is any sort of image or video, music, podcast, anything like that. You would use that button. But what we're going to be talking about today particularly are these editing options right in through here. In the core editing features, you get the ability to do bold, italic, strike through, bulleted lists, numbered lists, block quotes, horizontal lines, the alignment of center, left, and right, adding links, adding this little more tag, adding a paragraph style, heading, or pre-formatted text, underlining, justifying text, changing the text of your color, or pasting text from somewhere else, clearing all the format of any selected text, or adding some special characters where you might consider adding trademarks or any of these kind of other characters which you might need based upon your business. And then you have, of course, the decrease and increase indent, and these become enabled or disabled whether you type something in. So if you have text in here that you've typed and you want to undo, you can use it to do that. Now, if yours doesn't look like mine, it might be folded up. This toggle toolbar button, if you click that, you can see that we've gone down to just this one line of editing features. You click it back and you get it all back in there. But really, these features are not enough to do basic kinds of editing that you might be used to from working in tools like Word, Microsoft Word, for example. So today we're going to add a plugin. And in order to add a plugin, we go to our dashboard panel, Plugins, over here on your left, and we hit Add New. The plugins that we're going to add today are two of them. The first that we're going to add is the Advanced Editing Features, and I happen to know it's called TINYMCE, and we're going to do that Advanced. So to find a plugin, you can type in this keyword line up here. If you know the name of the plugin, you can type that in, or if you know, for example, the function of what you want it to do, you can type that in here too. So we're going to type in the TINYMCE Advanced and hit Enter, and we'll be presented with a lot of different plugins here that show up. The one that we want, which enables the advanced editing and the WYSIWYG editor of WordPress, is right here. Installing a plugin is really pretty basic. For the most part, you'll simply have to hit the Install Now button and then activate. Some of them have some settings which you'll need to go through. This particular one will have settings. For now, we're going to go forward and install it by clicking on this Install Now button. And we're going to wait while it does its thing. And here it's pretty much finished, and it's telling us here the outcome of the install. It said it downloaded, it unpacked, it installed, and it's successful. This is always what you're looking for when you're installing a plugin. It won't work or it won't even be able to be activated unless you get a successfully installed message. So to activate, we'll simply click on this Activate Plugin, and we're good. And now you can see it has been added over here to your list of active plugins. I happen to know that this particular plugin requires some setup. and that it added a feature on your dashboard to do this setup. Some plugins add these things and some don't. It's really kind of potluck. And if you move forward and you've added a plugin and you see something like this and you don't have any indication of what it's done, you might just check under the different elements of your dashboard to see where it might have put something. In this case, it put something under the settings menu here. So we'll go now to this under settings, Tiny MCE Advanced, to go ahead and do our setup. This particular plugin shows you what you already have over here for your editing features. We've already talked about that. And then down over here you have your unused buttons. So to go ahead and add these features to be available to you for editing, we're going to simply take them and drag them. They have a crosshairs on them when they're ready to be dragged. So we're going to just take this underline and put it there. We're going to do that for each of these different features. And you can arrange them how you like and take some time to set them up, like copy, paste, and cut probably work good together. And superscript and subscript work good with fonts. And the horizontal line we'll put here. Insert image, we already have that feature, but this gives us a little different functionality. So we're just going to take and put all these things up here. And we're not going to delve too deeply into each of these editing features right now, or even in this particular lesson. I may touch upon them in other lessons. This is simply to show you how to get these features enabled for you to work with WordPress. And that's pretty much it. For the advanced options, I am not going to add or enable any of these. If I were, for example, to enable this particular one, load the CSS classes used in the editor style and replace them with the formats, what would happen is you would be very restricted in the type of fonts that you could add. Your theme identifies key fonts that it uses. And so if you were to check this box, you would end up replacing your ability to add all kinds of different fonts in the visual editor. If you wanted to add them, you would be able to do so, but you would have to learn HTML and use the text options. And really, we don't want to get into that sort of coding, so let's just leave that capability there. As far as the administration, we're not going to do anything with that either, but we are going to save our changes. Very good. Now let's go take a look at what our editing page or editing options look like. We'll take a look at pages. Even though last time we looked at posts, posts and pages feature the same editing options and the same editing look and feel. And now look, you can see, in addition to these top two lines that you had here, we also have all those brand new editing features that we just added. That's really awesome. This will really allow you to work quite well within your posts and pages and allow you the ability to add all the different fonts that you can possibly have installed and the font sizes as well. Now there's one other plugin that is really important. You might notice here we don't have a spell check feature. And I rely on spell check a lot. If you've watched my videos, you can certainly understand why. I seem to have a problem typing. But with spell check, it really helps me out. So we're going to go now and add the spell check option plugin. Once again, to do that, we're going to go to we're going to go to plugins and add new. And here I happen to know the name of the spell check feature that I'd like to add. And it's, again, this TINYMCE. And we know it's spell check. And this one I use because pretty much everyone uses it and it works really well. It's really the tiny MCE is just a name and nothing much to be concerned about, but just know that a lot of people use it and it works really well. So I've typed that in here now and I'm going to hit enter to search. Oops, did I type it wrong? I did type it wrong. And here's evidence of why I need spell check. So let's try that again. All right, here we are. Now we found the tiny MCE spell check. This one is great because you're not going to need to do anything more than click on the Install Now button and wait for it to load its processes and files. You can see it's done the normal things. It downloaded, unpacked, installed, and then successfully installed. So to make it active, we'll activate the plugin here. And we go back and we see now that we have the Tiny MCE spell check. Awesome, that's really great. So this particular plugin is an example of one that really doesn't add anything here to your sidebar. And I know by experience what it has done. So I'll show you now where it has put the spell check feature. It's pretty much automatic that it added it. So let's go to Posts and Add New. And now you'll see this proofread writing button right over here. This is your spell check. So what you can do is once you have all your stuff in here, we'll just type some gibberish, and you highlight it, and you hit proofread reading. Of course, it's going to highlight all this stuff in red because this is really not a word. If it were a word that were misspelled, you'd have the ability to right-click on it and it would give you options of spelling. It's really quite simple and quite useful. So I just would like to show you another way to search for plugins and to talk a little bit more about usage of plugins. So plugins are awesome, as I said, and there are really a lot of functions that you can add with plugins. So let's suppose you wanted to add an events calendar. We can search for, this is kind of a function or a feature that we want to do, not necessarily a name. So you get to search by both. So we'll do that. And as you can see here, there are a number of events calendars that come up. And typically, when I'm looking for a plugin, what I look for is the number of installs and the compatibility with your version of WordPress. So for example, if you're looking here at this one that says untested with your version of WordPress, I would steer clear from that. It could be A-OK. However, when you already see something like this and you see another one that is compatible, then I think that's a better fit. And the other thing, as I called, is besides the number of active installs is you might go to the more details and check out the rating of the particular plugin. So for example, if it was all 1 stars, you probably, even if it were widely used and compatible with your version, if it had all 1 stars, I would think twice about installing it. So this concludes our lesson on plugins.